Animal Planet was home to some weird shows.
At 32 miles an hour, your newborn baby could easily outrun Olympic sprinters.
The most extreme was a top 10 list about animal adaptations that featured freaky body horror, and the family drama of Meerkat Manor would make Succession look like the Puppy Bowl, Animal Planet's most demented program of all. Needless to say, it was a lot of dramatic content for a child to stumble upon, but sometimes Animal Planet would just go off the rails entirely.
Cave demons. Devil monkey. Oklahoma Octopus.
Guys, get back! I will never forget the first time Lost Tapes came on my TV. I was sitting in my room in the dark watching an educational TV channel, and it convinced me of the existence of demon dogs who would mystically lead me to an early death. Yeah, this is Billiam, and I'm alive. Though I think Lost Tapes will always hold a special place in my heart for tricking me before I eventually figured it all out. Yeah, that's definitely real, I thought at the age of 12. I know I already checked out this show a little bit in my video about Animal Planet hoaxes, but I've always intended to come back to it to check it out on its own and watch more episodes. Many shows of this nature showcases the fruitless attempts of believers to locate these monsters while selling the imagination of the adventurers to the audience.
That one's close.
That's close.
Right in front of you, Trevor.
Look.
Let's say it. Right there it is.
It's another nest.
Lost Tapes, on the other hand, creates short little Blair Witch-style found footage scary clips that are used as wild sketches between infographics. But the other 20% of stories are like yetis on boats and devil monkeys with sneaker soles on the bottom of their feet. The intro to this show is so aggressive.
There are creatures science refuses to recognize.
Science refuses to recognize. Like, the existence of vampires is so overwhelming that it's revealing a serious systemic anti-monster bias in the scientific community. All because they reject footage like this.
Where the hell did he go?
It's so seriously silly in its tone. So let's check out Lost Tapes, because if our eyes see it and our cameras capture it, does it exist? Well, as long as you don't lose your tapes. Thank you to today's sponsor, Factor, for helping keep us going. Factor is your new favorite meal delivery service, specializing in fresh, dietitian-approved, chef-prepared meals delivered right to your door. Sometimes eating well gets put on the back burner for me. I love cooking, but my work schedule and my food schedule doesn't always line up. I can't go to my fridge and be like, hey, carrot, before you go bad, can your people call my people and we can get together in my mouth and then my stomach? No, the carrot's just gonna go bad. Luckily for me, Factor meals are ready in just 2 microwave minutes. It's healthier, faster, and cheaper than takeout, which is an expensive habit that I fall into sometimes. Featuring flavor-packed keto, vegan, and vegetarian, calorie-smart, and protein-plus options every single week, you are sure to find something that'll both satisfy your cravings and keep your energy up. And Factor is now owned by HelloFresh, so now there's even a wider array of options to choose from, including these nutritious and delicious fruit smoothies. I love them. Factor, please keep sponsoring us. But the lemon cream, tortellini, and broccoli is my favorite, hands down. Cheese, lemon, and pasta is the greatest trio of all time, and the garlicky green beans and red bell peppers on the side pack this dish with veggies. So get some tasty food or help out the channel by going to factor75.com or clicking the link in the description and using code Billiam50 at checkout. You'll get 50% off of your first Factor box. Once again, Billiam50 to get 50% off of great food. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, Factor. It's been delicious. I mean, a pleasure. Lost Tapes originally premiered on Animal Planet on October 30th, 2008, one day before Halloween. And it ran until the end of 2010 with 3 seasons totaling 30 episodes. The show was produced by Go Go Lucky Entertainment, which has since been absorbed by another larger production company you've also never heard of, Eclipse TV. As a company, Go Go Lucky's breakout and biggest hit remains Laguna Beach, The Real Orange County, a reality show on MTV which sort of marketed itself as the real-life version of Fox's drama, The OC. But of course, the show was frequently criticized and accused of scripting much of its action, something which Lost Tapes avoided entirely. Go. Oh my God! Lost Tapes seems like something this production company did just as a gig, but its resilience and its pure cheapness really helps to remind me how cable TV is no better than YouTube. While later seasons seem to shoot their own interviews with cryptozoology and folklore experts, the only original material that is created for the first season seems to be the show's narration and the original horror sketches. The sketches are super low budget with subpar acting.
Okay, guys, can we exchange MySpace pages later? You want to do this?
You must be Annabelle.
So, Dora, are you ready?
It's Nora, and sure. Sounds like fun.
Fun. Well, that's not quite the word I would have picked.
Don't let her freak you out, seriously. She's actually very nice.
The monster can either be a guy in a costume, a little bit of CGI, or a scary JPEG. Though the first season in particular would never show you the monster. Like in the cave demon episode, the radar shows they're surrounded by 500 cave demons, but you don't see any of them. You only hear their weak ass wing sound effects. To make you believe something is happening, there's like 800 different camera angles presented at any given time, and they're constantly switching back and forth between them to create energy. That way you don't have enough time to think about how nothing is happening. I love the one where the girl is attacked by the sea monster. She's fallen overboard. We can no longer see her, and her boyfriend is calling out to her over Skype.
Sharon, get the heck on board. Come on.
What are you gonna do? Send a life preserver emoji? Call the Coast Guard, you idiot.
Call the Coast Guard.
I called the Coast Guard, nobody is responding.
I'm the idiot.
I can't stay here.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm gonna call the Coast Guard.
The characters in the show are wild.
The day before this video came out, Billy and Savannah decided to quit YouTube and start collecting data about the Florida panther, a reclusive yet iconic predator. But little did they know, they'd be stalked by another one of Florida's fearsome beasts, the Florida Bigfoot, the skunk ape. These are their tapes.
We've got 10 cameras in the western corridor. We've got 4 cameras in the eastern corridor. I think today we're gonna get a picture of a panther.
Yeah, why do we have so many cameras?
It's a reclusive animal. We'll be lucky to get it.
Frequently, the existence of similar cryptids helps the show pad its time. Like the sea monster episode also talks about all the lake monsters around the world, and all the lake monster episodes mention every other lake monster in them. There's even a Mothman morph. The Death Raptor episode features a very similar cryptid to Mothman, the Owlman from the United Kingdom, but this time he's come to California. Of course, the show has to have a short little PowerPoint slide to show how these two creatures are similar. The similarities are apparent. The Death Raptor episode is the perfect episode of Lost Tapes. Everything they could possibly accomplish given the parameters of the show, they do. A paranormal investigation duo tries to find the Owlman, who's terrorizing a church.
What are you doing here? Peter, you must not be here.
Did you see something?
Yes, I saw a demon beast.
Hazel.
They had to hire this dynamic duo because no one in the church wants to deal with the problem. He's eating communion bread and his nickname is the Death Raptor.
Sort of had to think outside the box on this one because we really can't pursue this through normal church channels.
He's followed this old woman Hazel from the United Kingdom to California. Finally, the British invasion catches up to the cryptid community. Owlman is like John Lennon and Mothman is like Bob Dylan.
Hazel, who you met earlier, she's quite frightened and confused.
Suddenly, he was there.
Peter's interview with Hazel Van Leer was filled with disturbing moments.
I understand that Hazel is afraid of the Owlman, but that is the rudest editing I've ever seen.
He was convinced the creature had somehow followed her to the States.
He's going to appear.
Now, they track Owlman and his pellets containing human jawbones. Scary, but fear not, they're taking time to show us that they have given the jawbone over to the proper authorities, which does not, in fact, have any bearing on the plot. Now we have some slides about owl pellets. Okay. Oh, and Owlman is going after his next victim, this little girl named Sue Ann. You can tell that this event really messed her up because she draws him on the sidewalk.
It was a demon.
Stupid girl has never seen an owl before. The show's like a supernatural episode without the budget. Banger stuff. They bring the little girl and her mother back to the place Owlman got her. Could you imagine if her mother missed her getting taken by Owlman for the second time in the same location? You're lucky if that kind of thing happens once.
Swan!
Joanne?
Swan, where are you? Swan! Swan!
Here, she's here.
But she's found immediately. It's so anticlimactic. It's perfect.
and I want you to stay away.
They go back to the church and decide the safest place to go from the Owlman is the altar.
I'll try and get to the altar. It's the holiest place in the church.
And also the most open part of the church. Hazel won't go up to the altar. She explains that the reason why Owlman is going after the little girl is because she's vulnerable.
She's young and vulnerable, and so is an older woman.
Hazel, where are you going? Hazel, where are you going?
Knowing she's the one who brought Owlman to the United States of America, Hazel decides to sacrifice herself. Oh
my God, Hazel!
She's taken, swooped up by a .jpg of a wing rotating over the screen. The best look we get of the creature. Lost Tapes is at its best when they write a lot of drama for the characters to have outside of the monster. There's this episode where a group of friends graduating high school go out on the lake to celebrate. We watch Sean's Lost Tapes.
Hey, here we are. End of high school.
Along for the trip are friends Tyler, Tracy, Bruce, and Ruthie.
Sean, you got a great idea, buddy. It's called
The Camera Woo!
Pay attention to the road too, Tyler.
Maybe someone else should drive, huh?
Anyone but Tyler.
Okay, guys, I'm right.
But drama amongst friends isn't the only thing to worry about. There's a scary octopus in this Oklahoma lake. The Oklahoma Octopus.
Guys!
Yeah. Did you see that? See what?
But the real villain of the episode is Tyler, who's such a jerk.
Got weeks you've been acting like a bitch like this.
What are you?
Hey, thanks, guys. That's all I can say. Thank you. Tyler, have a
Hopefully
good
this
night.
guy doesn't do something stupid.
I don't see him, guys.
The Oklahoma Octopus's budget is no match for the season 3 Kraken. You actually get to see it a little bit.
He sees you.
But this gradual budget increase kind of happened between every season, it looks like. The second season flexes its creature effects a little bit. Sometimes it's a little CGI, makeup, a prop, a JPEG. But there's often a little costume, like in the season premiere, the vampire episode, which I think gives Lost Tapes its first memorable creature. We open up with some surveillance footage of a guy getting eaten. Those are some scary tapes, but they connect with the tapes of a family moving into a new house. It's pretty big and nice, but as the narration tells us, the recession just happened, so it's a fixer-upper. The dad is trying to be in good spirits about it, but the kid just hates it.
Hate this place. This house doesn't work. This place is horrible, Ruggles.
Anyways, no one believes the kid when he says a flesh-eating vampire starts drooling over him in the middle of the night, tearing up his plush animals with violent intent.
There's something in the room.
Kid, can you please just shut the f out the house, please? The maintenance man in the basement explains to the kid how he's going to kill the raccoons making all the noise in the wall. The snake camera setup inside of the wall is genuinely creepy, knowing the vampire is lurking behind. We don't think we're gonna get a good shot of it because it's Lost Tapes, but then all of a sudden there he is on the snake camera and he tears open the wall.
How did I get here?
Get a wide shot of this thing. It's wild. The kid sees the blood in the basement, and then he sees the vampire. He runs upstairs, terrified. He hates this house. He's putting his whole weight up against the basement door, screaming his head off. She says, "Kid, what are you doing? You gotta stop complaining about this house. Holy shit, it's a vampire." The mom and the kid, they're screaming together, trying to keep the vampire in the basement. The dad comes into the kitchen. He's like, "You two gotta stop complaining about the house. It's the recession. Holy shit, it's a vampire. Sucking them all dry. In the recession, nonetheless."
A few feet shorter than the Bigfoot, Skunko has a warmer coat, and worst of all, he reeks, smells really bad. In 2000, an anonymous resident from Sarasota gave these photos to the police. Could this be the elusive skunk ape, the very one under Billy and Savannah's noses?
I don't know, Billy. The thought of going through months of footage just doesn't sound very fun to me.
Well, you didn't have to come.
The infographics in the show are wild and so non sequitur at times. It just feels like they're trying to pad out the runtime, which hardly ever goes over 20 minutes. This is the shortest show I've ever seen. The text on all of the infographics slides really gives middle school report energy.
Like, famous depictions of vampires include Nosferatu and, of course, the legendary Prince of Darkness, Count Dracula, created by author Bram Stoker. The character Dracula, who is named after the historical figure Vlad the Impaler, or Vlad Dracula Tepes. The word Dracula being derived from the Latin root word Draco, meaning dragon, and vampires drink blood, which has its roots in folklore. Blood is your life force. Vampires are defined as drinking your life force. Sucky, sucky.
It just goes on and on. Like they're trying to hit a word count. The sketches are really just silly, loud framing devices to present a lot of really basic information about local folklore surrounding this show. I mean, these creatures. In the other scary bird episode, Thunderbird, we watch the tapes of these kids who are trying to make a cool skateboard video. It's fun, but then it gets scary because we get an infographic about skateboard injuries. I'm so glad they're including this because if you get injured falling off your skateboard, you could lose your tapes. Then Animal Planet will take them and make a montage out of your sweet moves without your song of choice. You would have used Cosmic Debris by Frank Zappa, little kid. Lost Tapes, especially in its first season, is the most limited resource show I've ever seen. It's got scrappy energy. Though I have to admit, having an entire back catalog of Discovery stock footage, that's a pretty good resource. The sound effects are the weakest part of the show. They're always using the same bird sound effect over and over again, even over the zombies. This show has zombies. The sketches are silly good fun, but unsurprisingly, the infographics often use misleading language to keep this conversation in a pretty little walled garden, never featuring any perspective from skeptics, or as the cryptozoology community likes to call them, the haters. Like the world famous Yeti skull and hand held in a glass case in Nepal, which serves as notorious and dubious evidence for the creature. Lost Tape shows you this impressive supposed Yeti skull without mentioning the fact that it's been analyzed as far back as the 1960s, yielding non-Yeti results. Surprise! It is completely dishonesty by omission to not tell that to your audience. The Yeti episode also does not take place in the Himalayas. It takes place on a boat. Is this how Bigfoot first got to America? The Yeti killing everyone on a boat is not a storyline I would have predicted, but he did have the top half of his skull and his right hand taken off, so he can't be in a good mood. The Monster of Monterey Bay episode also features this popular photo of an alleged sea monster lifted out of the ocean, dead and decaying, though the show never provides the audience with the very real explanation that this is most likely a whale carcass. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, so maybe this animal we're seeing from a great distance is actually one we recognize that just looks weird under a given circumstance. Imagine if Lost Tape showed you a whale skeleton and said, now picture 100 pounds of raw meat on top of it. The audience would be able to connect the dots if they weren't 12, but the spirit of Lost Tapes is about the fun. How can an octopus be in a lake in Oklahoma? The show says it can't, but who cares? Who gives a hoot? Not the owl man. Look out, Tyler. It's the Oklahoma Octopus, here to suck you dry in the recession. The photoshopping skills in this show are beyond radical. So many of the images come directly from Getty Images and are frequently used across a lot of other cryptozoology media. But when Lost Tape slips in one of their own shopped images, you can tell. Like, who would have thought the giant snake in this photo would be real, but not the guys standing next to the giant snake? That is a good way to cover up the shop. The audience isn't looking at the dudes. I do think cryptozoology media can feature a lot of interesting folklore. Like, the Bear Lake monster is no more interesting than Nessie from Loch Ness in terms of their physical description. It's the local backstory that makes them interesting. I mean, hey, which one of them tussled with Scooby-Doo? Lost Tapes does a wonderful job of depicting the legend of Pecos Bill in this seemingly photoshopped image. This Billiam of yore allegedly wrestled the Bear Lake monster for several days straight, apparently for charity. If you'd like to wrestle me several days straight for charity, please comment below. about something else. Season 3 of Lost Tapes gets a bit of a production pump, even over the second season's antics of having the Jersey Devil kicking a door in on a family of 3. One element of season 3 that's pretty lame is the introduction of the Enigma Corporation. They're a special ops unit with a Scooby-Doo ass name specializing in the paranormal. It's dumb. The first episode blows the lid off this show's already thin realism with an episode on zombies, which to my knowledge has never been attempted by any other cryptozoology show. Zombies aren't cryptids. That is to say, they're not friends of Bigfoot. Zombies are such a lame choice for this show. You just know it's people in makeup, and it feels like it's just a bunch of kids getting excited to use After Effects, posting gun flares all over the screen.
No, he's not coming down!
Oh my god.
I do think all of the special ops units trying to arrest the zombies, however, is just goofy beyond belief. There's this amazing cutback to this scene of a guy trying to interrogate one of the zombies. All of a sudden, he's being eaten like a fool. Corporate episodes really take away some of that small people story charm of the earlier episodes. In addition to a probable budgetary increase, I feel like they decided to go into this direction because of the popularity of Call of Duty's Nazi zombies. The very popular minigame, which first appeared in Call of Duty World at War, which was first released 16 days after Lost Tapes premiered. It's all connected, people. In the cave episode of Lost Tapes, there's a character named Sawyer.
Who the hell are you?
Sawyer from Lost Tapes. It's all connected. Lost Tapes surprisingly doesn't drag on like a lot of these shows, which typically top 40 plus minutes. They hardly ever hit the 20-minute mark. They read the assignment and said my grade can take the incomplete. The infographics are so weird and non sequitur that you're already seeing something else before you have time to think about how strange the whole production is. And then sometimes when the scary sketches line up with these seemingly random infographics, it feels like a punchline. Like in the skateboarding episode, the kids are running around trying to find this secret little area to skateboard in. We know the Thunderbird is following them. One of the kids' legs gets injured, and then we see an infographic about a local legend about a kid in Illinois getting lifted 30 feet into the air by a bird.
Oh, I'm sorry, go. Come on, let's go.
Don't leave me!
Uh-oh.
Man, oh my god, where is he?
The bird took him. He's okay though, they find him. And honestly, I think one of the unsung heroes of this show is the narrator. Just hearing him explain some of this stuff is so funny.
Devil Monkey. In most car accidents, the damage to the car totals less than $500. Small collisions, or fender benders as they're colloquially called in Florida, and probably other places too, often do not exceed a deductible on one's insurance. It's not worth it to make a claim. It will come out of your pocket.
We have to get out of here. Put it in reverse. Put the car in reverse!
I think I just hit somebody.
Give me the camera. Oh my god, sir. I am so sorry. Are you okay?
Okay.
So yeah, Lost Tapes is pretty wild, but it's not as good as Mountain Monsters. See ya.